Judge. Well, it is great to be here with the judges and county commissioners and members of the elected legislature. Llano County, Burnett County, they're hurting. There has been a lot of homes that have been flooded, businesses that have been flooded. We spent the afternoon touring, visiting with residents who faced devastation. We visited with one gentleman who woke up to find 12 feet of water in his home. We visited with families that are just dealing with their furniture, their clothing, everything in their house covered in water, covered in mud, losing everything or close to everything they have. And they're grieving. But I'll tell you at the same time, when Texas faces disaster, Texans come together over and over and over again. Every home we went to, people are reeling from the disaster, but at the same time they're marveling. We visited in one home with the principal of the elementary school and a number of high school students. The girls' basketball team was out. The high school football coach was out. By the way, he promised a victory. And they're all just rolling up sleeves. They're rolling up their sleeves and going to work. You look at the community here, and the amazing thing about Texans is that Texans don't wait to be asked to help. You just saw neighbor after neighbor. You'd visit with folks and you'd say, hey, is this your home? No. Was your home damaged? No. Well, why are you here? I'm just here helping. I'm just here trying to help my neighbors in need. That's who we are as Texas. That brings our state together. And so my message to the good people of Burnett County and Llano County is that the state of Texas is with you. The entire state, we're lifting you up in our prayers. We're standing with you. We're standing as one. I will say I've seen a lot of good folks, whether it's Red Cross or Team Rubicon. We've seen over and over again as disaster after disaster hits that these are the folks that come out and help. And from my perspective, in my office, I've conveyed to the judge and both judges that my office stands ready to assist and work with them to facilitate the federal response, to work with the federal agencies. We have a host of federal agencies that deal with disasters. We have, sadly, now a lot of experience dealing with the federal disaster agencies in the wake of storms, in the wake of damage, and so my team will be working hand in hand with the county judges and local officials, and the entire state of Texas stands together. And my message also to the residents of Llano County and Burnett County is you'll come through this. We'll come through this together. You'll rebuild, and you'll rebuild stronger and better than before because we're Texans, and that's how Texans respond to adversity. Introduce your Congressman, Roger Williams.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. And I'm Roger Williams. I represent Congressional District 25, which is the Burnett County's in my district. But just to briefly add to what the Senator said is, when you get in a situation like this, you notice the Texas spirit. And as the Senator said, we haven't had anybody, nobody's waiting to have the federal government, the state government do anything. They're already doing it, and that's the Texas spirit. We were one home, and I thought it was just brought about how great our country and our state is. We were there, and people were going through their garage and families together, and there must have been a little guy, I don't know, 5 years old, waving an American flag. You don't see that everywhere, but you see it here. And business communities are going to, and businesses that are suffering right now will be able to come back. My office also, along with Senator Cruz's office, stands ready from a federal standpoint. If anything is needed, we will be there to help, and things will be better. Things are always the darkest right now, but they will be better as we move forward. And it's amazing to me, and it really shouldn't be because we're all Texans, but we see a lot of smiles on people's faces.
Yes.
That's because they know that things are going to get better. God's with us right now, and it's going to be a wonderful thing to be able to, frankly, rebuild this community and get it going again. So it's an honor to represent all of you. Things will be better. They're already better now. And if you need anything from our office, we stand ready to help you. But America's the greatest country in the world. I think we all know that. But Texas is the greatest place in America. And it's things like this that remind us of that. So God bless all of you. And don't hesitate to holler. We're there to help. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Dawn Buckingham, State Senator for District 24. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out today, and I'm here to give you a strong message. What you are seeing is your local officials, your state officials, and your U.S. officials coming together to be sure that we're taking care of our people. And everywhere the Texas spirit is strong, a huge shout out to the first responders. We had every sheriff's deputy knocking on doors all night, evacuating people as water was rising rapidly. Everyone has worked so hard. There are folks in this county who haven't slept for probably 2 days. Word on the street is we may have more flooding on the way as more rain is on the way. And you know, folks, I need you to pay attention to the water alerts. We need to help out our first responders. God bless Texas. We'll come through this strong. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much for being here, and Senator Cruz, thank you for taking the time, and as well as Congressman, thank you so much. We know that y'all do dearly love not only Texas but this district as well. And I will tell you, Judge, I know this is a tall order in terms of this bridge because there's a lot of folks that's cut off on the other end unless they drive a long ways. Senator, thank you so much for being here. You've always been gracious in coming through the district and so forth and meet to our needs. I will tell you, as we look forward, as the Senator mentioned, we're not out of the woods yet. Now, we're no weather forecasters here, but at the end of the day, if you look at the satellite imagery, Thursday and Friday is going to be a big couple days for us. Please heed warning. Please. Don't think that this is over. And I know that a lot of folks would like to get out there and do some sightseeing and so forth from the surrounding areas and so forth, but there are people that are working hard to get their lives back on track. And believe it or not, traffic is sticking up or building up in areas that's very, very small roads. It's making it hard on them. But again, we will prevail. Thank you again for being here, and we look forward to a new bridge in the near future. Thank you.
We also have the mayor of Marble Falls here. John, you want to say a few words? I know we're not in the city of Marble Falls, but there's a lot of folks affected in the city of Marble Falls.
As a community, we've gone through a lot recently, especially the wildfires we have, which is kind of ironic that we've had both now. But when you see our Llano and Burnett County and the other counties work together around here, it's amazing. Like that, talk about that Texas spirit and that local spirit. So we're here to help support y'all here in Kingsland, Llano County, just like we know you're here to support us. So we appreciate all of you too. Thank you.
Any questions?
Senator Cruz, Congressman Williams, have you guys identified specific or federal funding sources that could really help with this bridge?
Well, speaking with the judge about the governor's declared disaster area, that's the first step. Then the next steps in terms of there are damage levels that qualify for different amounts of relief from FEMA and other federal agencies. Our staff is working with the county and local officials. And, you know, I'll say, unfortunately, you know, my staff has gotten a lot of experience with this in the last couple of years. When last year Hurricane Harvey hit the state of Texas, the damage stretched for 250 miles. And so for over a year, I've had several members of my staff doing nothing but full-time disaster relief and hurricane relief, working with county judges up and down the Gulf Coast, working with FEMA and HUD and HHS and the Army Corps of Engineers, and helping expedite the process, helping get through bureaucratic and regulatory red tape, and we've already extended the offer to the judges here that the same folks that now have FEMA on speed dial, we're going to use that same expertise to try to speed this process up. You know, one of the things that is also a real blessing we've got between the governor and the state infrastructure, Texas has experience dealing with natural disasters, and it's one of the great strengths. These local leaders you see standing here, law enforcement, these first responders, they know what they're doing. And it's a real strength of the state of Texas that when a crisis hits, look, it was the local sheriff's deputies and the local police department that were knocking on doors in the middle of the night saying you need to get out now, and that the families and communities were relying on. And that infrastructure, you know, the real infrastructure of the community is not a hunk of concrete like the bridge. We'll rebuild the bridge. But the bridge is not the infrastructure of the community. The real infrastructure of the community are the leaders. The real infrastructure of the community are the first responders, the heroes that step forward, are the volunteers that go help clean out houses. You know, Roger made reference to this little boy we met. He was I think 3 years old, little kid waving an American flag, covered in overalls, absolutely covered in mud. And you've never seen a kid happier than being covered head to toe in mud. And that was his grandparents' house. that had 2-3 feet of water. They lost all the furniture, and the kid, yeah, there you go. There's a picture of him waving the flag covered in mud.
He was waving the flag before we got there.
I know. And,
it was not a parade, you know.
and one of the things that actually all of us commented on is to remember that joy of a child at age 3 to say, yes, we're going to face hard times, we're going to face challenges, but that joy is who we are, and it points to coming through.
I might add one thing too, to add to what the Senator said. We are unfortunately getting practice at this. My office was right on as soon as this began to happen. We touched base with our local community, and we made sure we had some people here. Wimberley, Dripping Springs, that is a memory we all have, and so forth. And fortunately, we'll be rebuilding structures, maybe in rebuilding lives, but we're all prepared to work with each other. It's a team effort, and it'll get done.
Questions?
Senator Cruz, I have a question. I'm from APC in Houston. We're wondering, you're heading to a rally with President Trump on Monday, correct? Is that rally for you?
So let me stop you there. Let's keep this focus on the flooding here. There are plenty of opportunities to answer political questions other times, but I want to keep the discussion on the flooding.
Is there a timeline for perhaps when this bridge could be repaired, or are you hearing anything with regard to how TxDOT may get this repaired?
Judge, you were sharing the conversation with TxDOT.
I've been talking with TxDOT. We have a TxDOT representative here, and I'm vowed not to put her on the spot. We need to let the waters recede so they can get in there and see what they got. But it will be replaced. You know, my guess is that they'll either just fix what's broken, or who knows, maybe come in with a newer, bigger, better. Who knows? It was designed and built in 1969 as a 50-year to survive a 50-year flood. Well, that worked out about right. So hopefully, to me, we need to kind of up the ante there a little bit. But it's too early to have an answer on that.
I will say, I did ask her if they could do it within about a month or so, and she did say that was out of the question. but they were going to do it as quickly as they possibly can, and we have a great TxDOT group here, so I believe they will.
There was a body found in Burnett County, body found in Llano County. Do we have an update? Is there any more injuries? Any more bodies found throughout the area, Hill Country?
I'd put we have the sheriff of Burnett County here, Calvin Floyd, that can speak to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the body that was found in Llano County. I don't have any answers for that. The one that is in Burnett County, we don't have an ID yet, so we're not releasing anything. We don't have any more information on it, so we're not releasing anything on that at this time.
As far as it was from the earlier floods, or from this?
We're not really sure, so we're not saying anything at this time.
And the one in Llano, I think I spoke about that a little earlier, but we have contacted the family. We don't have any other details really at this time. It's under investigation, so they just found that body last night, I believe.
Was the body found in a car at that low water crossing?
I'm not sure. It was in that low water crossing in the city of Llano.
Senator Cruz, now we've had Harvey, now these floods, the frequency of disasters, they keep coming. What do you tell people living in these areas about what the federal government can do moving forward as they mount up?
Well, look, Texas has had in recent years, we've faced an entire wave of disasters, and Mother Nature is a formidable force. We've seen the power of flooding, the devastation. You know, Roger made reference to Wimberley and the horrible flooding there that destroyed homes, and a bridge just like this that tossed it like a paper plate. It is formidable. That there is a great deal we can do. I can tell you, in the wake of Hurricane Harvey, what I've been spending a lot of time doing is working with the Army Corps of Engineers and the entire Texas delegation. We've seen a unity, really a bipartisan unity in the Texas delegation focusing on relief from that disaster. And one of the things we've all said is in the process of rebuilding, and this is true in that disaster or these storms here, that we want to rebuild in a way that's smart. We want to rebuild in a way that's resilient, that we know there are going to be subsequent weather events. That's the planet on which we live. And so we want to rebuild in a way that is more resistant to flooding, that is stronger and can withstand more. We want to invest in a way that is prudent going forward. I know the Army Corps, there have been projects up and down the Gulf Coast they've been looking at that are all designed to increase resiliency to flooding, and I think that's the right approach.
Is there any concern that
you know, I understand that concern, but I was amazed at the bipartisan cooperation we saw in the wake of Harvey. Harvey now goes down in history as the second most costly natural disaster in U.S. history. And Roger can attest to this. We had bipartisan cooperation. We had 4 major disaster relief bills that came through Congress, 3 providing relief, 1 providing emergency tax relief, which I authored in the Senate. And we saw Democrats and Republicans come together. And part of it was, one of the things the Texas delegation agreed on early is we were going to keep the focus on disaster relief. We weren't going to open it up to just whatever unrelated spending project somebody might have. We were going to focus on what did the disaster cause, what is the harm, and how do we respond to that. We're going to keep it focused on that, but also build in a way that is long-term resilient. And I think that was the right approach. It enabled us to keep bipartisan agreement and to get other states that weren't impacted by that storm to come together. And I'm confident, whether it is that disaster or dealing with the flooding here, that we'll stay focused on. The first concern is getting people out of harm's way. And let me echo the concerns that a number of the leaders have said. If there's more flooding that comes, and some of the weather reports suggest that may be coming, then please take seriously if an evacuation order is given. Don't risk it. Don't think that you can make it through. One gentleman we spoke with just earlier this afternoon, he said he had 12 feet of water in his house, and I have to admit the man was shaken, and he just said it was terrifying. None of us are stronger than 12 feet of water. And let me say also, if you're driving and you see deep water, don't risk it. In floods, historically, the most frequent cause for loss of life is someone in a car or truck, they see water, they think I can make it through, and you drive in, and it's deeper than you think, and you get carried away, and you can lose control, and it's not worth risking yourself, it's not worth risking your family. So take evacuation orders seriously, monitor the news. Let me say to all of the folks in the media also, thank you for the role y'all play in a natural disaster. Look, everyone's got their TV on, everyone's listening to the radio to see what's happening, and you guys are the first source of information, in addition to this thing, you know, where first get people out of harm's way, and then secondly, we start to rebuild, and we'll do that together because that's who Texans are.
Judge Oakley, can you give people perspective on how critical this bridge was as far as emergency response in this area? How is that going to change the way?
That's a great question. As I look behind me a minute ago, I see Johnny Campbell, who runs the Marble Falls area EMS. Well, this changes his map, not of his coverage area, but how he gets from point A to point B. And you know, now you got to reprogram your map. And so no matter how you reprogram it, it won't be as good as it was. And that's why it's so important that we get this link back up.
Well, what's going to happen with regard? Is this miles? Is this double the response time?
Well, you know, I'm going to let Johnny speak to that, as a matter of fact. Come on up, Johnny. You know, it's nothing like being on the spot, right? So, you know, obviously one of our closest hospitals is over there towards Horseshoe Bay, the Scott and White, and so that's where you make a lot of your runs to. So how do you think this is going to change your world?
Well, this has more of an impact for our neighbors over here in Llano County than it does us, but we back them up, they back us up, and so this bridge, being able to move units back and forth between the two communities and the two counties is imperative, and having redundant bridges or redundant pathways to be able to move these emergency services back and forth is a big deal. And I know Judge Oakley and some of the other officials have worked on this for a long time, and so we need to probably take this opportunity to start moving forward with some of those projects. We'll continue to respond. We've already worked with Llano County, their EMS director, on who's going to take care of Sunrise Beach and some other areas like that. So we'll move forward and still provide the same level of service that we always have. Just have to bear with us a little bit. It may just take a little while to get through this.
Yes. To that, you're the emergency coordinator?
No, well, I am the chief emergency coordinator. I have an emergency coordinator that assists us. We have talked to several of the people that do the emergency vehicles in this area. They tell us that while it will be a big inconvenience for a long time, and it will slow down some of the rides. They do think that they're probably going to have to divert more people back to the Llano Hospital, and that really going from here to the Marble Falls Hospital isn't more than 5 or 10 minutes longer because of just the route. That actually this route you end up kind of backtracking a little bit, so it's probably not going to be significant enough that they can't deal with it in the short term, but definitely we need the bridge and we need it as quickly as we can get it. So I think for the people the impact is huge, because if the people that live just right across there are now going to spend an hour on the highway to come over to a place they can see from their back door. Somebody else said that one time and got in trouble, but anyway, it's
No one wants to claim that one.
Senator Cruz, you spoke about this earlier, how Texans love helping Texans.
Yeah.
And that's a question that we've been constantly getting is, while we're waiting for that federal aid, how can people who haven't been affected help those who had 5, 10 feet of water in their homes?
Well, listen, there are a lot of things you can do to help out. One of the things you can do, we have wonderful charities and organizations. The Red Cross is on the ground at every disaster. They do terrific work. Team Rubicon, I have worked with Team Rubicon helping clean out homes. They do terrific work. You've got a lot of veterans who volunteer with Team Rubicon. You've got Samaritan Purse, you've got churches, you've got other charities that are engaged. And you've also just got people. One of the great things, one of the real strengths of Texas is the churches we have. And at a time of disaster, you just see churches and pastors and communities that step forward and say, we're going to go help. We're going to go pull on some jeans and an old T-shirt and get in there and get a shovel and clean out the mud. And that's a wonderful thing to see. So whether you're helping by giving money, whether you're helping with your time, whether you're helping simply by lifting these communities up in prayer, all of it makes a difference, and all of us can help out.
And can add one thing to that too. We talk about the Texas spirit. The Texas spirit is a real thing, and it's interesting. Those volunteers we saw in those homes today, they didn't ask to come over. They weren't asked to come over. They came over. And that's what it's about. And besides what Senator Cruz talked about, churches, your sweat, your energy, your treasure, it's just the fact that people know what they got to do at the right time. And that's what Texas is about. It was a good example of it today.
And I'll very quickly give a brief anecdote. The first home we stopped at, the woman who was there, she was describing, she said, well, there was a little kid who was shoveling mud, who's like 5 or 6, and I said, who is that? Is that a neighbor boy or something? She said, I have no idea. He just showed up and started helping shovel. I mean, that was one small illustration. Dawn, you wanted to say something?
I just want to let everybody know the First Baptist Church in Marble Falls is having a Get the Mud Out training tomorrow. I believe where people who want to come and learn how to do that can. They're also coordinating volunteer efforts and also what the needs of the family and the community are. So I would encourage folks who want to engage to come to the First Baptist Church tomorrow for the training and coordinate through there to help the community.
Okay.
Our company is kind of affiliated with a company called Gear Up for Game Wardens. We kind of facilitate some resources that maybe they don't have.
Okay.
Are you aware of anything that maybe game wardens are lacking, maybe sonars or something for future search and rescue, or anything that's kind of lacking that they might be?
It's a good question. I don't have an answer to that. I don't know if either judge has a thought on that. All right. Well, there you go. I guess you asked a game warden.
Could you repeat the question real quick?
Gear Up for Game Wardens, organization that kind of helps provide resources that maybe y'all are lacking at a given time. Anything y'all need, sonars?
Yeah, good question. Thanks for the question. Basically, what you could do is you could go to the website, which is gearupforgamewardens.com, and it gives the opportunity to provide equipment to your game wardens in local areas to allow them to respond. But we've got great partnerships here with the local sheriff's office and DPS and Task Force 1, and our guys are doing a great job, and we're happy to help. Thank you.
All right, thanks, y'all. We'll wrap it up.
Thank you, everyone.
Good job.